Hello there everybody, we are back for part 6 of 100 Days on Fjordur, except I think I might rename it now, because after the setbacks in last episode I think it's going to take more than 100 days for us to complete this map. In any case, after last episode we lost our entire Therizinosaurus army and my only Yutyranus. However, I did still have a few Theries back at base that I could use to breed up a new army. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to try get some mutation stacks going this time, as I don't think that the Theries we had previously were going to cut it. To do this, I just get one male, and then breed it with a bunch of females. All the females and males have the exact same stats, which makes it a bit easier to tell if there's a mutation. Hopefully, they'll lay an egg eventually, and if I hatch a baby and it's a mutated with melee, stamina, or health, I'll hatch it, and then if it's a male, I'll swap out the male I'm currently using and continue breeding that male with all of the females until one of that male's offspring rolls a random mutation, and then I'll just repeat that process until I have about 20 mutations on each parental side, and that should make the Therizinosaurus super strong in an upcoming boss fight. I think that should be able to do the Alpha Broodmother. I'm also just killing all of the unmutated babies that I don't need, as they just clog up my base, and I do need the player XP as I want to get to level 105 so that I can craft the Tech Mutator, which is a really cool item that sends out a pulse and causes all nearby creatures to have a guaranteed mutated baby for a short period of time. However, to get this item, I do need to kill the Broodmother on any difficulty, as the Tech Replicator as a prerequisite to getting it, and the Tech Replicator drops from the Broodmother. I also have to use the Tech Replicator to craft it, which is annoying, as to get this I have to use Element, Black Pearls, and heaps of metal, along with some more generic items that I have plenty of already. But I think the biggest issue will be fighting the Broodmother. I think we can just do it on Gamma with some unleveled Theries, so I will try that out at some point, but yeah, we'll be back soon once the Theries are done breeding. On day 51, I also decided to see if my Snarl strat would work in Jotunheim, and it actually did, which was awesome, as it meant we could survive here, even if it was somewhat annoying. How this works is that the Snarl has a healing ability, where it freezes you and yourself and heals you up rapidly, and then if I could use this every now and then, it would keep me alive and I wouldn't die to the cold. Sadly, I didn't really find anything interesting in Jotunheim, but I did spend the rest of the afternoon there, so I went back to base on day 52 and continued breeding the Theries. By this point I had 8 females set up, and they were all breeding with a central male, which was good, as it meant that I could easily just replace this male once I got a mutated one, and continue to pass on that mutation. On day 53, I continued the search for black pearls, as I wanted to find some so I had them on hand when it came to crafting the Tech Replicator and the Mutator. I saw some jellyfish though, and I wasn't too sure what to do here, as I couldn't remember whether or not they'd actually been nerfed. I tried getting in there slowly with my baryonyx, but then I freaked out at the last minute and I tried to run away, but he got stunned. They continued to attack him, but one of them chased me. Luckily, I managed to get the berry in a soul ball and save its life, but the jellyfish caught up to me pretty quickly and killed me. There was nothing I could do here, as once they stun you, they just repeat the effect continuously and you can't move or attack. So I just took off my armor and let myself die. I got back to the jellyfish after my death and pulled them away from my body. Then I just put some normal arrows onto my crossbow and took them out from a distance, safely. It was also good that I did kill some jellyfish, as I needed biotoxin, as it was a good narcotic, and I could also use it to upgrade trank darts, although I haven't even crafted any trank darts yet, I'd just been using my crossbow. But now that I had biotoxin, the upgraded darts would make more value out of using the ascendant longneck I had. The jellyfish did start attacking my baryonyx, but this wasn't too big a deal as it had heaps of health, and as they were doing this, I managed to kill them. The Barry also harvested all their biotoxin and actually got insane amounts of it, like nearly 800 per jellyfish, which is really good. Hopefully I don't run out of it. After killing the jellies, I did actually find some black pearls in this little cave. This was great, as it now meant that I didn't have to worry about getting them later when I needed to craft the tech replicator and the tech mutator. So I collected them up, then went back to base. I also went back and collected all of the Broodmother artifacts so I could try the fight on Gamma with some unleveled Theres and see if I could get the tech replicator blueprint. With all of that done, I started the Broodmother Gamma portal on day 54. I wasn't entirely sure whether or not I was going to win this time, because I just had a bunch of unleveled Theres that I'd gotten from breeding, and they were the offcuts that I would have had to kill otherwise. However, the Gamma Broodmother is significantly easier than the Alpha. It has about a third of the health and does only about a third of the damage, which should make it way easier. So I warped into the arena. For some reason I hopped onto my creature before this, which I couldn't have done, as there was a risk that I would have been kicked off and left behind when the fight happened, and then I would have lost the dinos. But anyway, there's the Broodmother, so I whistled all my creatures to attack it. The mistake I'd made last time was I'd got every Therizinosaurus bunched up in front of it where they could all get hit. This time, I tried to get them to go around it, so they'd distribute damage evenly and only a few of them would take it at any one time. All of the small spiders were really annoying though, and they kept slowing me down. I whistled my Theres onto passive to get them to move around it, and then I whistled them to attack the spider again. We were actually doing pretty decent damage this time, and not getting completely obliterated like last time, but this probably just because it's a much easier difficulty of boss. However, I still didn't think we were going to win, and I would come back a bit later once I had a few more mutated Therizinosaurus. It was actually quite a long fight, as the Theres had fairly high health at about 6,000, still not anywhere near as much as you'd want for this boss fight, but, you know, they managed to take it down to at least half health, so I assumed that I could easily just go and level some Theres, and then it should be a pretty easy fight on the next attempt. And also, I only had a saddle on the one I was riding, so they were all unarmored as well. It was not very difficult, but the Theres were starting to die at this point. So I decided to try and hop off my one and see if I could kill the boss with my shotgun. It was annoying to do this though, because there were small Aranios everywhere and they would continuously attack my player if I hopped off. So I tried to create some distance, which was annoying because I was webbed by an Aranio. So I hopped off, and then I tried to shoot the boss a few times as it shot me back with its green spit and webs, and I killed the Aranios to make some clear space as it came after me. By this point we only had a few Therizinosaurus left, so I was pretty confident we were going to lose, even though we had taken away about 2/3 of the boss's health. After clearing away the Aranios, I got off a few shots with my shotgun, which actually did really good damage, but then I got separated from my Therizinosaurus and I died. So that attempt was a fail, but I didn't think it would be too hard to fight it again once I had some leveled Theres that had mutations. The next morning, I went back into the Wyvern Trench to check out this cave that we'd seen a few episodes ago. Sadly though, a Wyvern had respawned here, so it aggroed onto my Fire Wyvern as I tried to fly through the cave. For some reason I forgot that you're not allowed flyers in caves, and I tried to fly straight past it, which resulted in me being dismounted. I quickly hopped on again, and continued to try and escape, but there was a Wyvern on me now, and I kept getting dismounted. Then I got knocked off the back of my own Wyvern, which was bad. Luckily the other Wyvern was still attacking it. I tried to get him to follow me, and then told him to stop as well, and also hoped that he'd fight the Wyvern, which somehow hadn't managed to hit me yet. So I ended up deciding just to shoot him with my soul gun to save his life, and then my own character died because I got attacked by a bunch of spiders, scorpions, and then the Fire Wyvern itself as well once I got my own one into its soul ball. That was a pretty dumb move, not gonna lie, but I still want to check out this cave at some point as I think it might have element in it. Not now though, I'll need to get a good Therizinosaurus to go through there first. On day 55, I finally had a little bit of a mutation stack going. This one had 2 mutations on it, 1 in health and 1 in melee, but I would need way more. It was a male though, which is good, So I swapped it out for the one that was currently in the middle and began passing on its genes to all of the females. This time I also threw out all of the unwanted babies so I could use them for another attempt at the Gamma Broodmother after leveling them all up a bit first and crafting a primitive saddle for each one. This was actually a fairly easy process, I just had to wait for them to grow up. After they'd all grown up, I spent day 56 leveling all of the Therizinosaurus. After going on a massive killing spree, I spent the rest of the day just healing them up with my snow owl and pumping levels into them. I ended up with about 20,000 health on each one, along with about 600% melee damage and a primitive saddle. This should be more than enough for the Gamma Broodmother. I also made an industrial forge on this day, which was a massive refining forge upgrade that could smelt 20 pieces of metal at once. However, it was a huge structure, so I had to rearrange my base a bit in order to place it. With that done, my base now looked kinda weird, as I'd decided to connect up the side foundations with the main floor, and I'd destroyed the foundations over the raised platform. It had kind of messed up the aesthetic, but it was necessary in order to get a space where I could actually place down the industrial forge. This thing was massive, and with it I could now smelt so much metal, and it would make crafting better saddles way easier. To finish off the day, I went and fought the Gamma Broodmother. I did this with the leveled Theres. By now they had 20,000 health, 600% melee, and they all had a primitive saddle, if not more stats than that. However, I got stuck on this one at the start of the fight. I probably should have used a move to target whistle to get the Theres to move away from me so I could move. And I tried whistling them to attack the Broodmother so they'd go away, but they weren't listening and my whistle wasn't targeting the Broodmother for some reason. So, it came close to us and started attacking, and they were all on neutral, so they just did it themselves after that. We were taking much less damage this time because of the saddles, as even a primitive saddle makes a massive difference against bosses. And yes, now I just had to get the Theres to surround the Broodmother. I did this by whistling them onto follow and then onto passive, so they'd run past it, and then whistling them back to attack it again. This was good as one Theres had stayed behind and fought the Broodmother, and this one could tank damage for a bit, while all the other ones hit it from behind. It meant that the one that was tanking damage might die, but all the other ones would get free hits in for a while, so that was definitely worth it. So, with the positioning sorted out, we then just wailed on the Broodmother. All the Theres were doing really good damage with their mate boosted and buffed melee, but all the little Aranios were still super annoying, as they kept shooting webs and slowing us down, and the big spider kept doing that as well. However, it was falling pretty quickly now that it was surrounded. The fight was pretty easy as it did very little damage, and the Therazinos had a lot of health. However, I still didn't like my chances against the Alpha, as this new army wasn't much stronger than the one we'd used then, as they all still had primitive saddles, whereas some of the ones then had journeymen. However, I guess I died in that fight because I got knocked off the back of my mount. I don't know what would have happened otherwise. So now the Broodmother is nearly dead, and there's actually an artifact in this arena, so now that he's gone, I need to go and grab that quickly before we get teleported out. I'm pretty sure that the artifacts in the boss arena are those from Scorched Earth, so we need these to fight the Manticore, which I do plan to do at some point, though no time soon. So I can see it there. I thought it was a cave drop initially, because it was a similar shape, but no, it was definitely an artifact, so I hopped off, and I grabbed it. The artifact of the Gatekeeper. With that, I just waited until we teleported back home. Upon arriving back at the obelisk, the Theres were all in a bit of a mess, but now I could hopefully learn the tech mutator engram and make the mutation process much easier, and then once we had a mutated army we could go and fight the Alpha. I also got a bit of element from that, which is nice as I'd need plenty of element later on in the run. So I searched up the tech mutator engram and the S+ tech replicator, as this was a prerequisite for it. Then I tried to find the mutator, but it wasn't showing up here. So I went back and I just searched Mutator. There it is, level 105. We are level 105 now. We hit it a couple of episodes ago, so we should be able to craft it. And I tried to learn the engram, but then I realized it has a prerequisite of the cloning chamber. This really isn't good, as the cloning chamber only drops from the Alpha Dragon or Manticore, which means I have to kill one of those in order to get the engram. And the Alpha Dragon is often considered to be the hardest boss in the game, though it will be easier with Theres as they take reduced damage from it due to being herbivores. And the Manticore isn't difficult as such, but it's just a really annoying boss fight, and it has attacks that can hit you off the back of your mount. So it's really risky, and I'm not sure I want to do that one either. To be honest, I think the dragon will be a more realistic goal for now. But yeah, it's annoying that we can't get the mutated army yet, so we'll just have to keep grinding out levels on these Theres and then hopefully try and do the dragon. Oh, and we definitely need better saddles as well. I think I'll keep grinding caves for a better blueprint. Oh, and we need Yutyranus. This time I'll imprint them and mate boost them as well, rather than just having the single one I'd tamed. So we'll have to go and tame some Uties as well and start breeding them. I spent the rest of the afternoon out collecting metal with my Anki. By now, he was a super high level, and I'd spent all of the other days where I was breeding Theres pumping his melee, as I'd been killing all the babies with my Anki in order to do this. He had like 1200% melee by now, which was insane, and meant that he would harvest thousands of metal per rock, and he was pretty good for obsidian and other resources as well. With this, it was pretty easy to collect about 10,000 metal at a few of these landslip sites that I've seen, and then we got back to base and stuck it in the industrial forge. On day 58, I got back home with all of the metal and began putting it in the industrial forge. I would need gasoline to power this thing, and I had a little bit of this already in my fabricator and grinder, but I would need to make some more. This could be done just by placing hide and oil into a basic forge and turning it on for a bit. So I got the gasoline out of these two structures for now though, and I just used that to fuel the industrial forge. I also wanted to make some trank darts to finish off the day, as I had an ascendant longneck that was really good damage, and I also had the biotoxin in order to upgrade them to shocking trank darts, which are twice as effective. With these, I'd be able to knock out even large carnivores in less than 20 shots, which was going to be great, and mean that I wouldn't have to spend so long sitting around taming, and it also might mean that I wouldn't even need a trap, as I could just knock things out really easily before they even started torpor running. That was the dream. Didn't quite turn out like that, but it was still definitely worth doing. So I just started smelting up some gasoline as well, so I can use that to fuel the forge, and as you can see, this thing is smelting 20 metal at a time, which makes it 20 times faster than a normal industrial forge, so it should really help us get that metal sooner, and then we can start making Theres saddles. I also made up a bunch of basic rifle bullets, as these are necessary for getting the trank darts. I think the recipe involves narcotics, metal, and just the basic bullets. These things are quite expensive on gunpowder, but we've got plenty of that by now due to all the metal we've been smelting. So now I just need to learn all the darts, the stunning and the shocking trank dart, and the regular trank dart. So I think the shocking ones have to be crafted in the fabricator, right? Yeah, they do. Okay, I'll move these Terra eggs out of there then, and then I'll stick all of my materials for them in here, and then we can begin crafting those as well once we have the regular darts. As they are like an upgrade to the regular darts, they're not more of a standalone thing. Where are they? Weapons. There we are. So we just need a normal dart, some biotoxin, and some metal. As I'm crafting these up, day 58 turns to day 59. These things are amazing, and I just need to use them very sparingly though, as they are quite expensive. The other thing about them is they do spoil, so I have to be careful of that, but it's like an 8-hour timer. I think I should be able to use them all within that time, given that like 8 hours is about what? It's like nearly 20 days on here, so I think we should have plenty of time to use all these things. On day 59, I'm searching Asgard with the new trank darts in hand when I come across this Yutyranus that's right next to my trap. These things have been super rare the entire run, and I've only seen about 5, so I really need to help that I can get another high level. It also doesn't help the fact that I lost the only high level I've seen in the Alpha Broodmother boss fight. So I aggro it by flying really close, as I want to try and get it to leave its Carnos. This does prove to be quite difficult though, as they both move at roughly the same speed, and the Carnos seem to follow wherever the Yuty goes. The trap is right there, as you can see, so it should be pretty easy to get him stuck and knock him out once the Carnos are gone, but I can't do that with all his minions following me. Just experimentally, I decide to try and fly by with the Wyvern and see if I can pick one of the Carnos up. I need to just regen a bit of stam first, but it shouldn't be too bad. So I try flying by, and I can actually pick up the Carnos with the Wyvern, which makes life way easier, as I can literally just fly through, grab each Carno, and then kill it midair without the risk of hitting the Yuty. So I repeat this a few times until all the Carnos are dead, and then I lure the Yuty into the trap. Okay, he is now in the trap, so I just need to run over and shut the door. Yep, there we go, he's stuck. So I can now begin knocking him out with the new trank darts. They do about 89 damage, which is quite high, but they'll be inflicting so much torpor along with that. The Yuty tries roaring at my Wyvern, but he can't seem to hit him through the structures, which is good as it keeps him distracted and I can just continue shooting him with the trank darts. When knocking out creatures, you have to wait about 6 seconds between shots, as the darts have an after effect that continues to apply torpor, and this doesn't stack. So if you shoot your darts too quickly, you lose some of this bonus time and bonus torpor. I ended up taming this guy just with prime meat, as I didn't really have anything better on hand, and with my taming rates, you would still get 100% effectiveness if you used prime. Okay, just need to keep doing it. Should nearly be there now. It's going to begin torpor running soon, as these darts do so much torpor. Oh, and I'm not sure I said this before, but this guy is a 150 as well. So yeah, he's torpor running now, so that means he's nearly unconscious. He's out already, that's insane. These new darts are so good, along with the 340% damage Ascendant Longneck. It's going to make life so much easier. But yeah. So he is a 150, but I'm not going to make the same mistake I did last time and just rush into a boss fight with the first Yuty I get. This time I'm going to tame a partner for him and breed up some imprinted ones that I can use, even if I do just have to tame a low level and get him breeding with that. And there we are, he's knocked out, so I'll just starve him out for a bit and then I'll tame. As the Yuty was starving out, I also went and checked out this cave that I'd seen earlier inside the bioluminescent blue area of Asgard. I didn't really have a main theory yet, so I just took out the one from my inventory that had a saddle, and then I soulballed my Wyvern to continue through the cave. This theory seemed to be starving, which was annoying as it meant he was on low health, but I took him into the cave anyway. This place looked absolutely awesome and I loved the design. I could definitely see an aberration area coming on here. This cave was so cool, I would love to explore it further, but sadly we couldn't as I rounded the corner and then suddenly there was radiation. Radiation is a mechanic from aberration that prevents you from exploring certain areas unless you have a radiation suit. So we didn't have a radiation suit, and this meant that we couldn't continue exploring the cave, otherwise we'd die to the radiation. The effect continued even as I left, but yeah, I mean we didn't die, which was good. But I would definitely have to come and check this cave out later, once I had a radiation suit. On day 60, I continued my search for a high-level Yutyranus. I saw this level 60, which I might have considered taming to breed with the other one if it had been a male, as my one was a female, and you can't breed with 2 females. I found this other one up here, and this one was a 145, which was insane. Sadly, it was a female though, which meant I'd still have to tame another male in order to breed with them, but I still can't say no to a 145. This thing would be so good. I decided to try not building a trap for this one, as I could just use shocking trank darts from up on the cliff, but I did still want to try and kill its carnos first. So I went up to these and killed 2 of them at once with the fire breath once the Yuty was out of range. Then I flew away up onto this cliff, as I thought that I might actually be able to knock him out with the other carno there. Okay, he's trying to follow. I can see the carno trying to turn around, but I think the Yuty's stuck in the tree. Yep, there he is. I was also freezing cold this entire time, as I didn't really have any good armor at the moment, but yeah. So I just waited for the Yuty to get in a good position, and then I began knocking him out. I hit him with one last dart, and then he began torpor running. This is a mechanic that happens when a creature gets low on torpor, and they'll run away from you instead of trying to attack. I tried hitting him a few more times with my dart rifle, but I wasn't confident of doing it at this range, and I didn't want to waste any shocking trank darts, so I followed him off the cliff. Luckily, there wasn't anything too dangerous down here. He somehow managed to stick up on this ledge and walk along here for a bit. I tried trapping him with my wyvern, which is a thing you can do when you land on a creature, and that'll stop it from moving. I nearly ran into a second Yutyranus, which was kind of surprising. This one was also a low level though, so I flew over it so as not to aggro it, and continued chasing my target. He fell down onto this ledge, where I managed to chase him off yet another cliff, annoyingly. This time though, I learnt my lesson and I landed on the far side of the ledge, so that he would be chased into the cliff face instead, where he would hopefully get stuck and make a much easier target. On second thoughts, I probably should have made a trap for this guy, but it would only take a couple of hits from this point to actually knock him out. So I got him stuck on the cliff, more or less, at least he was a bit slower, and then I hopped off my wyvern to shoot him with some darts. That one somehow missed, which was annoying, as he was right next to me. I tried firing off into the distance there and actually managed to just hit the tip of his tail, which was perfect. I tried the same shot again, but no, it wasn't going to work. He was too far away. The torpor running's weird though, because it seems that if a creature gets really far away from you, it starts running back again. I used my final dart on that shot, so I just continued doing it with my crossbow. I didn't have to be so petty about these shots, as they didn't cost anywhere near as much. But, of course, they didn't apply as much torpor either. Then he went off to where my wyvern was, and he fell off the next cliff, so we'd have to chase him down there. Oh no, he didn't fall off. Heh, that's good, he stays up here. I just continued knocking him out with the crossbow. It took a while, because I'm bad at shooter games, and I missed a lot of my shots. But, yeah, I mean, still a 145 Yuty, we have to tame this guy. Eventually, he did run off the cliff and ended up in this lake. I'd seen him walk on something, so I was fairly confident that I could hit him and he'd knock out on the surface. But no, he fell asleep in the middle of the lake. This was horrible, and it meant that he'd probably die, sadly, as if a creature gets knocked out underwater, it'll quickly drown. I landed my wyvern on the side of the lake just to check, as it was possible that I could tame him up before he drowned if he had high enough oxygen. I checked there was nothing dangerous in the lake, then I swam over to him. I was also starving as well, which was annoying, but it was too intense a time to gather berries and feed myself, and I had none in my inventory. Luckily, it seemed that he wasn't losing oxygen, which must have meant that his hitbox was still above the water, and he wasn't drowning, even though it looked like he would. This was perfect, as it meant this guy could tame up as well, despite the scare of him drowning initially. I also found another high-level 135 male Yutyranus in this gully, which was absolutely perfect, as it meant that I now had a 150, a 145, and a 135 to start breeding with. From those, I would hopefully have rolled some very good stats, and could create a really strong Yutyranus. The 145 that nearly got knocked out in the lake was actually an insanely high health stat. It had 40 points into health, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Like, that is a very strong creature. so I would definitely be breeding that stat into my riding ones for the boss fight. The Yuty actually got stuck on his Carnos, which was kind of funny. They were being more of a hindrance to him than a help, as they couldn't really do much from down there, but I just continued knocking him out as I'd gone back to base and crafted some more shocking trank darts. Eventually, he fell, and then after killing the Carnos, I went down and put some meat in his inventory to tame him. It started getting dark as I put the meat into his inventory, which signaled the end of day 60. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you've been enjoying the content. It really helps me out. And yeah, we will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.